What's going on, everybody? This is Austin from StingFeed Sports, and I'm trying something a little bit different here. I've had several blogs released in the last couple months. I've been blogging for a little while now. I wanted to do something in a little bit different of a medium. Kind of wanted to get my thoughts out there, vocalize them a little bit. So I decided to do a podcast. Not really sure what I want to call this podcast yet. I'm leaning towards Florida man. Let's talk about the Gators. So let me know what you think of the title. But anyway, I kind of decided to do this because there's been a lot of tumultuous action, so to speak, in the realm of Florida football over the last several weeks. And I feel like this podcast was necessary for a number of reasons, not the least of which because on Saturday, what we saw from a young Anthony Richardson, I felt like deserved a little more praise than it was getting from the typical Gator podcast. So kind of what I do every Monday and Tuesday, I kind of decompress. I go over the most recent game, and then I gather my thoughts, and then I listen to a lot of Gator podcasts. I subscribe to several. My favorites are Gators Breakdown with David Waters. That's fantastic. Gator Nation Football Podcast. I feel like my ideas are congruent with those two more often than not, kind of have very similar thoughts. There are some other ones that I was listening to. I'm not going to say them by name, but I noticed when I started firing up the old podcast machine, aka my phone, on Monday and Tuesday, that a lot of these podcasts, these Gator podcasts, were kind of burying the lead a little bit. They were talking about frustrations, and I get it. I get why everybody's frustrated. But I felt like we were doing a disservice to our fans and to Anthony Richardson by not mentioning how fantastic he played. I noticed a lot of people, they would just mention it in passing, or they wouldn't really go in depth, or they would even disparage his performance on Saturday, which was a noteworthy, at minimum, performance. And I think we should get into it a little bit more. So let's get right into it. What should we have taken away from Saturday's game? Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what you need to feel as a Florida fan. If you're frustrated, fine. I'm frustrated too. We woke up on, Monday or Tuesday, to find that our highest rated recruit in the 2022 class just decommitted, and there's rumors that more of that's going to happen. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, right now it's frustrating. It's a frustrating time to be a Gator fan. Dan Mullen is making some weird decisions. The program feels stale. Todd Grantham needs to go. He needed to go, let's be perfectly honest. He shouldn't be here right now. And if he wasn't here, we might not be having the problems we're having right now. All of that, very valid feelings. We're in our feelings right now as Gator fans. But here's the thing. Here's what you need to take away from this game if you're going to survive the rest of this season and potentially down the road. Anthony Richardson, a 19-year-old redshirt freshman, is the realest of real deals, okay? What happened on Saturday was transcendent, in a word. I don't like to throw out these hyperboles and these words that lose their meaning if you attach them to every little thing. But let me take you back to 2019. Everybody remembers the Kentucky game in 2019. Franks is out there. We're kind of going through the motions. He looks less than adequate. And unfortunately, he hurts himself. He breaks his ankle, giving his all for Florida football. Let's not get it twisted. Felipe Franks was a Gator through and through. He fought for that team, and trying to get an extra yard on 4th and 1, he broke his ankle. In comes Kyle Trask. And Kyle Trask calmly leads the offense down the field multiple times. We end up winning that game. But you could just see it with Kyle Trask. He was decisive with the football. He knew exactly where to go with the football. He made plays when he had to. Take all of that, store it in your memory bank, or rather pull it out of your memory bank. What Anthony Richardson did on Saturday might have been more impressive than what Kyle Trask did in 2019. I know that sounds crazy, and I know we didn't win the game on Saturday, and Anthony Richardson threw two interceptions. And we'll get into those too. Why using that as a crutch for why Anthony Richardson shouldn't play is asinine. But Anthony Richardson went out in the second half with his team down 15 in a hostile environment, 96,000 LSU fans, and I know it was an 11 a.m. local kick. That doesn't mean anything. They were fired up when he came in the game because it looked like their team was about to roll. Emory Jones had just thrown a pick six. Anthony Richardson comes in, incompletion. Both really nice balls, but two incompletions, 3rd and 10. Then the taunting penalty happens, where the LSU defensive back stands over Justin Shorter, taunting, boom, new set of downs. After that taunting penalty, it was like a rocket ship that couldn't be stopped. Time after time after time, Anthony Richardson was making throws and making plays that few quarterbacks in the college game, maybe in NFL, might be a little hyperbolic. Again, I don't like to speak in hyperbole, but Anthony Richardson was phenomenal. And he's a redshirt freshman. He hasn't started a game yet. He comes in cold off the bench. The last throw he made was an interception. But if you're looking for something and you're saying, oh, okay, no, I get it. You know, Anthony Richardson, he's big, he's fast. You know, he's like a Lamar Jackson type, right? Well, I'll give you two examples of why Anthony Richardson as a thrower is phenomenal and honestly might be more impressive with his arm than he is with his legs. There's kind of this narrative out there about him because of the game that he had against FAU where, you know, he's jumping over people and he's taking zone reads 75 yards to the house. Two specific throws, both of which to Jacob Copeland, that I want to highlight, that I think perfectly exemplify everything that Anthony Richardson is as a quarterback and why, even after a loss to LSU, even after falling to 4-3, even after our defense gave up a bazillion yards on the ground to some no-name, you know, hyphenated running back at LSU, even with all of that thrown into the pot, with just this couple little drops of flavor, this stew is going to taste pretty damn good. So, two plays. The first one, Florida's driving down the field. I can't remember when it was. Anthony Richardson drops back the pass. He looks to his right. There's two reads to his right that he goes through. There's a high read, a low read, and a check down. He goes boom, not open, boom, not open, glances quickly at his check down, flips his hips to the opposite side of the field. Again, this is all stuff that Emory Jones has not been able to do any of this, to be able to read one side of the field and come back across to the other side of the field. Haven't seen that. And if he does, he usually makes the wrong decision. And again, I'm not trying to bash Emory Jones. I'm just trying to show you how impressive Anthony Richardson has been, again, as a redshirt freshman. I keep having to hammer that home because he's young and he's doing stuff that, again, to talk about Kyle Trask, he's doing things that Kyle Trask would do in terms of reading and processing the information on the field. So he comes off of all of those reads on the right side of the field, flips his hips, and looks back at the left side of the field. Jacob Copeland is faking a block for a screen to, I believe it was Justin Shorter, comes off his block and hits a slant. He's wide open. Anthony Richardson flicks the ball to him. We get 15 or 20 yards on that play. Now, a lot of people just watching the game casually would have probably seen that and went, oh, okay, not very impressive. He hits a wide open Jacob Copeland on a slant. But everything that happens leading up to that play is the impressive part. The processing, the standing in the pocket, the footwork, the throwing motion, everything about it is so far advanced beyond what Richardson is as a freshman. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And then the throw that everybody was talking about, and rightfully so, also to Jacob Copeland. So it's 42-35 LSU, 3rd and 10, balls on like the 39-ish yard line, LSU, we're driving. Anthony Richardson takes the snap, again, starts left, opposite side of the field, goes 1 read, no. 2 read, no. Pocket starts to move a little bit. What does he do? He doesn't panic. Flips his hips again. Sees Jacob Copeland on a stutter go. Identifies, yes, my receiver is open. Resets and throws an absolute laser dime. I'm coining that phrase, by the way. A laser dime down the field to Jacob Copeland for a touchdown. Tie ball game on 3rd and 10. Incredible. Absolutely phenomenal quarterbacking. The throw was fantastic. Like I said, it was a laser dime. It was right where it needed to be, hence the dime. And it was a laser because it was traveling at supersonic velocity. This is on 3rd and 10. Jacob Copeland is his 3rd read. The pocket is moving. All he does is reset his feet and fires a dart for a touchdown to tie the game in the 4th quarter. This kid has moxie. He's got smarts. And then obviously we all know about the physical tools. The limitless arm strength, the speed, the size. Anthony Richardson's potential. Okay, sometimes that's a dirty word in college football because rarely do teams live up to potential. Rarely do players, coaches. Anthony Richardson has the potential to be the best quarterback that Florida has ever had. Let that sink in for a second. Think about some of the quarterbacks that have been here at the University of Florida. Spurrier, Shane Matthews, Danny Warfel, Rex Grossman, Chris Leak, Tim Tebow, Cam Newton, who I hear a lot of people comparing Anthony Richardson to. It's a fair comparison, but I think that Anthony Richardson is faster than Cam Newton, and I think he's a better quarterback cerebrally, being able to read the field and decision-making at this not so advanced stage in his career. The sky's the limit for this kid. He's making Kyle Trask level reads on the field as a redshirt freshman, and he has the arm and the leg speed to do things that Trask could never do physically. We should all be very excited about the future of Florida football from the quarterback position. Now, that brings me to my next point. Dan Mullen, after the game, he's his usual Dan Mullen self. Kind of prickly, kind of not willing to be effusive in his praise for Richardson. They asked him about Richardson and his phenomenal debut, and he kind of dismissed it a little bit, said, oh yeah, that's a label that a lot of people are putting on him, but the label that I like to put on him is he's a young quarterback who is still learning, still making mistakes, and I'm sure everybody watching that probably just kind of smacked their heads and, come on, Dan, what are you doing? Are we watching the same game? Because I know after the FAU game, I was sitting amongst friends and I said out loud, I've seen enough. Put Richardson in. Now, that was before the USF game where he was throwing even more laser dimes down the field to Jacob Copeland. He seems to love throwing to Jacob Copeland, which who could blame him? Copeland's a freak in his own right. Now we all see what Richardson is capable of. We're all kind of raising our eyebrows going, you're supposed to be the quarterback guru. That's the label that we've all bestowed upon you. How do you not see this? Or are you just purposely burying your head in the sand and saying, nope, Emory's our starter? And then Richardson was asked kind of awkwardly from a Gators reporter. I got my own qualms about most of those guys too. They asked him essentially, hey, can you kind of dispel the rumors that you're transferring? And you could tell that Richardson was caught a little bit off guard, and he kind of gave a non-committal answer for the most part. I mean, he said, I'm a Gator. That's the only thing that matters right now. Time will tell. Why is he saying that? He just went out there and practically put on a Superman cape and nearly saved the team from a disastrous loss to a depleted LSU roster. Why is he saying that? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because of the comments that Dan made and the fact that he's not even guaranteed the starting position. Imagine that. Imagine going out there and lighting the world on fire. National media is talking about this kid. And you're like, we'll see. We have Georgia coming up in a week and a half. I can tell you this right now. We have a very slim opportunity to win that ball game. And all of those winning scenarios rest on the shoulders of Anthony Richardson. If Emory Jones, God bless him, but if Emory Jones goes out there Saturday, October 30th at 3:30 in Jacksonville and takes the field against Georgia, we have no chance of winning that game. Our chances are already slim, like I said. But if Emory Jones is our starter, no shot. No shot. Anthony Richardson gives us the best opportunity to win. And everybody but Dan Mullen can see that. Or Dan Mullen can see it too, and for some reason he's just being obtuse. So I don't know what the deal is there. Okay? I really don't. And it's frustrating as a Gator fan. It makes me want to pull my hair out. And I've been one of Dan Mullen's biggest defenders. I wrote a blog about it earlier. I defended him after his COVID comments. I defended him after the Cotton Bowl comments where he said, we treated this like a glorified scrimmage. I was like, good. We lost the SEC championship game. This game is meaningless. I defended him somewhat after he kept Todd Grantham. I was like, okay, it was a COVID year. Maybe with some extra practice, maybe with new blood in there, we might be able to make this work. I defended him after the Bama loss. I defended him slightly less after the Kentucky loss. It's getting harder and harder to defend this guy. And I'll tell you this. If he names Emory Jones the starter for Georgia, count me out. I'm done. I'm done defending him. He's got to go. We haven't gotten to that point yet. He had a press conference on Wednesday basically saying, we have two quarterbacks on this roster that I feel like can play. And, of course, Gator Twitter threw their arms up in the air and they were ready to riot. You got to read between the lines on that one. Every time up until this week, Dan Mullen has been asked about his starting quarterback. Hey Dan, who's your starter? Coach Mullen, who's the starter? Who's the starting quarterback? Would you say you have a quarterback controversy? And he looks at the camera and he's all defiant. No, we don't have a quarterback controversy. What are you talking about? Emory Jones is our starter. Anthony Richardson's good, but Emory Jones, he's our starter. Now they ask him the same question. Hey Dan, hey, Coach Mullen, what's going on with the starting quarterback situation? Who's going to be the starter for Georgia? And he goes, well, we got two quarterbacks that when healthy, they can both play. Got to read between the lines on that one. He's not going to come out and say, Anthony Richardson is our starter, and tip his hand to Georgia. Does it make much of a difference in terms of game planning who Georgia knows is the starting quarterback? From their perspective, no. They've seen both of these quarterbacks play. They're going to be preparing for both of them. It's not going to matter. But I'm just telling you to get inside Dan's head for a second. He's thinking, okay, I got these guys. I'm gonna throw off the scent a little bit. I'm gonna tell him that, we got two starting quarterbacks, blah, 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 blah. Again, read between the lines. Don't read anything into a Dan Mullen press conference. How many times has he said, so-and-so is healthy, he'll play? Richardson, Kyer Elam. And then you turn on the TV on Saturday and, there's Avery Helm and Jason Marshall. No Kyer Elam. Anthony Richardson is doing backflips and he's in street clothes on the sideline. Do not read into a Dan Mullen press conference. I guarantee you. Save yourself a lot of headache and a lot of mental health issues and just tune it out. I know that's not the answer you're looking for, but I'm telling you, Dan Mullen's not going to name a starting quarterback at his Wednesday SEC Media Day press conference thing, whatever they call it. It's just not going to happen. So we touched on some of the positive things about this team, some of them. Now we got to get a little negative. Okay, I mentioned it at the top of the podcast. Recruiting. I believe it was Wednesday, looking back. Our top-rated recruit from the 2022 class, Shamar James, linebacker out of Alabama, top 100 player, decommits. Puts out the old notes app, says, respect my decision, I'm decommitting, yada, 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 whatever. I hate when players decommit. Hate it. But I kind of get it. I kind of get it with him. And there's also the rumors floating around that our next highest rated commit, Julian Humphrey, a top 100 cornerback out of Texas, he's also waffling on his commitment, might end up committing to Georgia, who just picked up 2 5-stars in the last 24 hours. What are you going to do? They see the product on the field. They're not dumb. What do these two recruits have in common? Besides the fact that they're both the best and second best recruit in our class, they're both on defense. All of our top offensive commits, Isaiah Bond, he just got a ratings boost. He's top 100 now. Nick Evers, the quarterback, who is another one of those transcendent type. If he lives up to his potential, could be he could be sensational as a quarterback in college. These guys, Jaden Gibson, the wide receiver, top 150 wide receiver who just committed out of Orlando. These offensive guys, they're fine because they see, once there's a quarterback in there that actually knows where to put the ball, Mullen's offense looks great. It's the defense and the defensive side of the ball that has questions. Todd Grantham. These kids are seeing this and they're saying, would I rather go play for Todd Grantham in Florida where you're not even in the right position to stop a guard tackle counter? A simple play that LSU ran down our throats and essentially won the game with? Or would I rather go play for Georgia, who is just a juggernaut on defense? Something that we'll see firsthand 2 weeks from now when we have to play them. If you're a recruit and you're impartial, which one would you rather play for? I hate heaping praise upon Georgia. I hate Georgia. I can't stand them. If they cease to be a football program tomorrow, I wouldn't lose it. I would be ecstatic. But right now, their defense is night and day better than ours. Recruiting is on life support right now. Like I mentioned, we lost a top 100 recruit. We might lose another one. We gained one in wide receiver Isaiah Bond, who got a huge ratings boost. Right now, if things keep trending in that direction with Julian Humphrey eventually decommitting, he's going to be our only top 100 player in this class. That's not good. That's not going to compete with, forget about Georgia and Ohio State and Alabama. That's not going to compete with the Clemsons of the world, the LSUs of the world, who we are right now in a similar tax bracket as in terms of talent composite. We're right around a 91 average for player rating. Bama and Georgia are in the 94 range. Ohio State's in the 93. With the right quarterback and the right coach, 91 is just good enough to win you a national championship. See 2019 LSU, see 2016 Clemson. But if we keep trending in the direction that we're trending in terms of recruiting, last season we finished 12th. This season we're right around 17, 18. And if we don't do something, if we can't land an Evan Stewart, a 5-star wide receiver, otherworldly talent out of Texas, if we can't land, take your pick, Jaheim Singletary out of Jacksonville, 5-star cornerback, if we can't land these guys who have been trending our way for months and months now and we can't close the deal, our recruiting class is going to be in shambles at the end of the year. We better pray that Isaiah Bond and Nick Evers and Jaden Gibson and all these guys who are keeping this class together through glue and duct tape, we better hope that they don't get a wild hair up their ass and take their talents elsewhere. Because that's a distinct possibility. This is even more of a reason to want to get rid of Todd Grantham. He needs to leave. Because recruits are starting to take notice. Shamar James and Julian Humphrey, they see the writing on the wall. They're probably going to decommit. They're going to end up at Georgia, which is even worse. I wish they'd go to USC or Oregon or something where we'd never see them. But no, they're going to go to Georgia where we have to play them 3 years in a row. You hate to see kids decommit. I personally hate to see it. I'm very old school when it comes to recruiting. I think it's become a big spectacle now, but I also understand from the players' side of things, why would you want to play for Florida at this point if you're on defense? If you're Walter Nolan, the number 1 overall recruit in the 2022 class, why would you want to come play for Florida? I don't know. I'm trying to have a measured approach to recruiting, but it's hard. It's hard. And it's hard when you're on Twitter and you see all the negative stuff being said about your team and your coach, but it's all warranted. We're hemorrhaging talent in this recruiting class. Top targets on the board are going elsewhere. What are you going to do? You have to right the ship somehow. You have to show these kids that you're committed to winning, and keeping Todd Grantham on the payroll, not a good start. Not a good start. And I guess finally we'll wrap this up. We'll briefly preview the Georgia game because we have a bye week and then we play Georgia. Like I said, I mentioned it earlier, this game depends almost entirely, or rather our chances in this game depend entirely on who ends up becoming our starting quarterback going forward. If Dan Mullen pulls a Dan Mullen and we see Emory Jones trotting out there as the starter in Jacksonville, I'm telling you right now, turn your TV off. I mean, I guess watch the game because you're a diehard Gator fan like me, and you're just tied to this team, and you support them through thick and thin. The in all kinds of weather moniker applies here. But as far as if you're expecting us to win the game or not with this defense that we have, not with Georgia's defense that they have, and not with the way that Emory Jones has performed. He has shown nothing to make me believe that he's the key to beating Georgia. Richardson, on the other hand, if Dan Mullen finally looks himself in the mirror and has a come-to-Jesus moment and says, okay, you know what? I've been lying to myself. I've been lying to the fans of the Florida Gators football program. I got to start 15. I can't start 5. I got to start 15. If he does that, I'm not saying we'll win, but we'll give Georgia all they can handle as far as teams on their schedule go. If Anthony Richardson is in and we're firing on all cylinders the way that we were firing for most of the second half against LSU, yeah, sure. I think we have a better shot than anybody else, save for maybe Alabama, of beating them. But Georgia's defense is for real. They are for real, for real. That is not going to be an easy task for any quarterback, let alone a true freshman making his first legitimate start. So don't expect us to win the game, but as far as chances go, I'd give us a puncher's chance with AR. Not sure I could say the same about Emory Jones being in there. But we'll see. I might preview that game a little bit more in depth next week when we're a little closer to game time and I can kind of break everything down. If Dan Mullen has named a starter, which he won't, but if he does, sure. I could break that down a little bit further. Maybe make a prediction. Not sure I want to do that, to be honest with you, but I guess that's the cross we bear when we start a new podcast. With all that being said, I guess that's where we wrap things up. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. It's my first foray into the world of podcasting. And I think there will be more to come if you guys are supportive of the show and you like what you hear. I'll be happy to keep this thing going. But until then, take it easy. Enjoy the bye week, stress-free Saturday. And I'll talk to you guys soon.